welcome to Knit Tea Live on, what is today, June 27th? I'm sorry, I have to scratch my nose so badly. Oh my God. Of course, right when I had to go live. Anyway, first of all, thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm so sorry that I was running late today and I'm starting Knit Tea Live 15 minutes late. It was just life. It was just life happening and my own sort of poor time management this morning. But we are here now. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live or you join me on the replay. So glad you're here. No matter what, you can always join the conversation live during chat. Please make sure to say hello. If you're watching on the replay, please join the conversation by commenting down in the comments section. Always want to hear everyone's thoughts. It's part of the fun of Knit Tea, which is getting to have that conversation. Also, oh my gosh, am I going to burp? Okay. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Giving thumbs up, commenting, all of that lets YouTube know that this is a space where check it out and we can help grow this community together. All right. Occasionally, you're going to see me look down because I do have notes so that I can try to keep organized with Knit Tea Live. As always, especially audio, if you suddenly can't hear me or anything, please let me know by commenting, chatting during the video, because I can't hear what's happening on the other side. So yeah. Also, Super Chats is on. What is Super Chat? Super Chat is a live streaming tipping that you can do, and it highlights any comments that you might have, so it makes sure that I see it and other people see it, and it's a way to help support my channel. If you're watching on replay, Super Chat is not a thing for you, but you can always buy me a coffee if you would like. You can find the link for that down in the description box, or you can utilize one of my affiliate links. If you click on affiliate link, you do a little shopping, I might then earn a small commission, and all my tips, my commissions go back into supporting my channel, helping me buy supplies, helping me upgrade my equipment, all the things to help make this channel better, a better experience for you. All right. So got through all the plugs. Thank you for bearing through that. I try to make it as quick as possible. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is so bleeping hot right now. It is so freaking hot right now. So today, what are we going to talk about today? Let's get to the fun stuff. So today is going to be a little bit of a modge podge of things. We are going to have a pattern spotlight, of course. I'm going to try a new segment called What to Knit To, because I know not just knitting, crafting in general tends to happen on my couch in front of the television or with headphones on while I am listening to a podcast or something. So I tend to craft and do something else at the same time. So I thought that during Knit Tea Live each time I might highlight what I have been crafting to lately. So I thought I'd share that with you today. But what else? The main topic, the main thing that we're going to talk about today is the title of the Knit Tea Live, which is Respecting the Craft. We're going to talk about whether, not us, I think we all respect our craft. We all love our craft. But talking about whether crafting in general, in larger society, gets the respect that it really deserves. As often with my Knit Tea Live topics, this was inspired by a tweet I saw, so we are going to dig into it. Yes. So, yeah. And so, yeah, that's all of the topics for today. And holy crap, nobody's watching. It's okay. It's okay. Somebody will show up. I hope somebody shows up. And if not, you'll watch on the replay. I hope. Anyway, so topic for today is respecting the craft. And what inspired this was a tweet went out with a meme, and I'm going to show you that meme right now. Here it is. And the meme says, "What you call money spent on craft supplies, I call resources invested in artistic inventory." Doesn't that sound better? And I gotta say, when I read this, I was like, oh yeah, that's clever. Yeah, that's funny. And then I also paused and I tweeted out, because I retweeted this meme, but I tweeted with it, wouldn't it be great if we had the same respect for the word craft as we do for the words art and artisan? Because it really did highlight for me. There we go. This really highlighted for me something I think often comes up, which is that, not all crafts, not all hobbies, but certainly hobbies and crafts that are considered like women's work, domestic arts, like knitting, crochet, spinning, I'll even say scrapbooking, those sorts of things, what you find at Joann's and Michael's, oftentimes are kind of considered frivolous activities, right? Yes, it's nice that we can do these things. People will ooh and ah over the stuff that we make, but all too often it's still considered like frivolous. Like, oh, it's so nice that you have time for that. It's so nice, and it's interesting because not all hobbies and crafts get that attitude. Cooking, for example. I love to cook. I talk about cooking. Nobody sits there and goes, oh, that's just something old women do. Right? And nobody questions if someone's like, my hobby is gourmet cooking. Nobody then questions the amount of money invested in the kitchen. Nobody sits there and goes, do you really need that stainless steel all-clad pan? Nobody questions that. Everyone's like, oh, of course you do. Cooking is so great. It's so great that you cook. Of course you're going to invest in that. Why is that? Why is it that we give that sort of respect to something like cooking, but we don't necessarily give that respect to something like knitting or crochet? Well, I got theories. And if you are joining me at any point during the live stream, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you're watching on the replay, please comment down below on why you think fiber arts in particular, but anything that's considered like crafting, like more female-centered crafting, doesn't get the same sort of respect, where people will like sit there and say, I had a cousin, I'll tell you a story. I had a cousin and I was knitting one day and I was talking about how much I spent on yarn or something. And she turned to my husband and said, how do you feel that she's spending your money like that? And I was rather taken aback. For a few reasons. For one thing, I'm married. My husband and I were married. It's not his money. It's not my money. It's our finances, right? And the other thing about it was also I work full time. I bring home bacon. I bring home bread. I bring home eggs. I can bring home myself some yarn too. Thank you. It was just a very kind of 1950s attitude to take about a woman buying craft supplies, where it's like turning to the husband and be like, how do you feel about her spending your money like that? Like, excuse me? But even if you're a stay-at-home mother and you're not working necessarily or bringing in that sort of income, you shouldn't have to answer a question like that. Because you cook the bacon and eggs or clean the house. Whatever resources are in the family are owned by the family. And I don't think any person in the family should feel as though they do not have a right to those resources. Now, of course, we all need to be economically responsible and like, oh, I'm not going to blow the entire bank account on yarn and knitting needles as much as I might like to. That would be irresponsible. But I certainly, no crafter should have to, justify the fact that they spend money on their craft. But it goes back to the same thing. It's a lack of respect for the crafting itself, in my mind. But yeah, that was a hell of a comment to make. I was like, what? What century were you born in? And this cousin's younger than me. Younger. Much younger. So yeah. But why is it? Why do we have this attitude? The attitude even where we make jokes about it, right? We make jokes about, oh, I hid yarn. Oh, my husband doesn't know I spent this much. Oh, I've got this stash under my bed, right? Like, we have to hide what we're doing. It's like, no, we shouldn't have to hide what we're doing. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons for it. One is that I think everyone understands the utility of something like cooking, right? Because we all need to eat. We all need to have cooking. We all understand the utility of that. A lot of people don't understand the utility of handmade items, you know? They just don't understand it, and so they don't value it. It's like, well, why knit gloves if you can just buy them at a store? Why knit socks if you can just buy them at a store? It just seems trivial that you're doing this at all, even though something like knitting, crochet has very practical applications. There's still like kind of like, but you don't have to do this. So why invest so much time and resources into it unless it's just a hobby and it's kind of a trivial thing that you could easily give up? And let me tell you something. I cannot easily give up my crafting because my crafting keeps me centered. But anyway, that's me. But so I think some of it is about utility. But I think another reason why is sexism. I do think there's some sexism involved. I don't think that there's some sexism involved. I think there's a lot of sexism involved with this stuff, where we as a society, patriarchal society, tend to look at anything that is considered a woman's activity, a domestic art, and it automatically receives less value. It's automatically less valued. And you see this in a lot of ways. One of the ways that you see this is that how often we have to justify that knitting and crochet are genuine skills by going, but men crochet and knit too. It's not just something that women do. And don't get me wrong, I think it's great when anybody picks up a set of needles and picks up a crochet hook. I think that's awesome. I want everybody who wants to enjoy crafting, right? But too often we do that. We go, see, men do it too. Look at that guy. He's knitting and he's cool, as a way of validating our craft, right? See, we're valid because men do it too. Instead of it being, this is valid because it takes a high level of skill to achieve what it is I'm doing. And it's cool on its own. Like, just the fact that it's dominated by women now, in this day and age, things like knitting and crochet and fiber arts, is now dominated by women, doesn't make it less cool or less valuable than when it was dominated by men. Because there was a time in history, the medieval times, where knitting was a highly prized skill. There were guilds, professional guilds of hand knitters, and they were run by men. Only men could be in them. It took years of training to be considered a master knitter, and it was a highly valued skill. But then knitting machines came along, and knitting started to move out of the sphere of, master craftsmen, artisans, and moved in the sphere of domestic art, something that women did as a cottage industry on the side to supplement income. It moved into like parlor activity to keep hands busy, and it became more and more trivialized through that process. And to the point now where we have to sit there and go, I'm not buying craft supplies, I'm buying art supplies. Doesn't that sound better? Like, legitimize what I'm doing here? We shouldn't have to play those games. We should respect the word crafting. We should respect crafting and the word craft, the same way that we respect art and artisan, because it is a high level skill. What we are doing takes a lot of technical skill. We put a lot of time and energy into getting better at it. And whether you're like a super, super casual knitter who only ever makes scarves, or you are a knitter who has gone through the master hand knitting class through the Knitting Guild in the United States, whatever level you are at, wherever you consider yourself on the spectrum, you have developed a highly, highly technical physical skill, and that is to be respected and commended. So I don't think we should feel like we have to justify the investment that we put into our craft, because it brings us joy and it brings other people joy too. I mean, I know, look, there are people who are not knit-worthy. We all know there are people who are not knit-worthy, okay? And don't appreciate what we're doing. But there are so many people who do look at what we do and go, oh my God, that's so cool. I could never do that. And I'm always like, yeah, you can. If you want to. If you don't want to, that's cool. But if you want to, you can do this. You can learn this if you want. So it's like, we shouldn't have to sit there and hide our purchases. We shouldn't have to like act embarrassed that we got another set of knitting needles or anything. Because like, I joke all the time, like, do I really need another set of interchangeable needles? I have 6, 4 of which are metal needles. But I can honestly say about every set of interchangeable needles that I have, they all serve a different purpose. They're not, even though they're all interchangeable needle sets, they are not interchangeable with one another. They are all really important to me for different reasons, and I use them for different reasons. You know, there are times that a metal needle is not an appropriate needle for the project. I need something with more grip. There's times that I need a needle tip that's more blunt or sharper. There's reasons these different types of needles exist. And because of the type of knitting, the variety of knitting I do in terms of stitch pattern, I need those different types of needles. You know? Plus, I really just like having needles. So, anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on respecting the craft. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, whether it's why you think sometimes crafting is treated like a frivolous activity or less important, or do you really need to buy that next set of needles? Don't you have enough needles? I saw somebody on Twitter, it might have been in response to my own tweet about this, who said, when her husband asked, do you need another set of needles? And she was like, do you need another screwdriver? It's like, yeah, every screwdriver serves its own purpose and you do need them. So yeah, anyway, let's see, did I hit anything? So I think that's everything I wanted to say about this topic. Again, love to hear your thoughts on it yourself. Okay, so moving on. So what am I knitting to this week? Oh my gosh. Nobody's showing up today. That's fine. So what am I knitting to this week? God, I've been actually watching quite a bit of Apple TV. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag not an affiliate. But we got Apple TV free for a year when my husband got his phone. And so we've been watching, and that's going to run out soon. So we've been watching a lot of Apple TV lately. And one show that we finished up, we really enjoyed, was a show called For All Mankind, which is so interesting. It is a show that is an alternative history show, right? Where it imagines what would have happened had the Soviet Union reached the moon before the United States. It's really interesting because it's an alternative history, so it's just an interesting thing, and how that affected society. Suddenly, because Soviet Union reached the moon first, women are brought into the NASA astronaut program sooner, but they still have historical figures in the show. Ronald Reagan still becomes president, but Ronald Reagan is president earlier like how that all happened is different. So it's just a really interesting show. And that was the show that I was knitting while I was working on the first sock on this pair. You've seen this sock. It's been on my Instagram, but I did finish it here, and I finished off the toe. And this toe here, let me see if I can get closer to the camera. There you go. I finished off the toe, and let me tell you, this toe, it is a seamless graft, and I did not use the graft formerly known as Kitchener stitch, which on this channel we call stockinette graft or just the Kapok graft. That was my last live stream. If you want to know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my last live stream where we talked about this graft. But this is a different graft that I use, the Finchley graft. And in fact, my next video that I'm uploading next week, next Friday, is going to be about doing this graft for the first time. So you'll want to keep an eye out for that. But that was a really good show. What I'm watching right now on Apple TV is Physical with Rose Byrne. A really fun, well, God, is it fun? I wouldn't say that. It's a good show. It's not great, but it's a good show. God, it's actually kind of, in some ways, it's a hard show to watch. Rose Byrne plays Sheila Rubin, a housewife in San Diego. Her husband, who was a professor in poli-sci, has been fired from his university. He decides, on her encouragement, to run for political office on the state level. And she struggles with an eating disorder. And the show does come with a content warning, as it should, because the show presents her inner monologue and the negative self-talk. And when I first started watching, it was really difficult to listen to because some of it was very relatable. Not all of it, but some of it was very relatable. But she discovers aerobics. This all takes place in the early 80s, by the way, the show Physical. She discovers aerobics, and she goes in the show description on a journey of self-discovery through aerobics. And it is kind of fascinating. It's kind of fascinating watching a show based in this time period of like 1980 through 1986, which was a time in my life where I was alive. I was very young, but I was alive. And so I have memories of this time period. So I'm often kind of like watching it on TV shows. It's the kind of show where a lot of the characters aren't necessarily likable, but you're fascinated by them, and so you keep wanting to watch. So that is what I've been watching this week, is Physical. So that is what I have been knitting to as I start my sock number 2. I did start the second sock of my sock project. So yes, I am conquering second sock syndrome. Woo-hoo. All right, so next, let's dive into Pattern Spotlight. Oh, God, nobody's showing up. Okay, so Pattern Spotlight this week. Just gonna get my what page? I gotta scroll up. I'm gonna show you the new patterns that are on Fiber Happenings, of course, but I'm gonna do something a little different with Pattern Spotlight this week, in that we're also gonna take a look at Knitty.com. Knitty.com has a very special place in my heart, and their latest online issue is released, so we're gonna also take a look at that because I just want to support them. I want to support Knitty.com, but let's first take a look at Fiber Happenings and the new pattern releases and news that have come out. So, oh geez, there we go. Okay, so first of all, I do have to do a little bit of a plug here. I'm going to bring up, there we go, a little bit of plug. Knit Picks, with I hope I said that correctly, with which I am an affiliate, is having a huge summer sale. Their sale goes until the end of July 27th, and every week like a different category of yarn goes on sale. Today is the last day that you can get up to 60% off lace and fingering yarn. Not all of the lace and fingering yarn is 60% off. It's up to 60% off. So if you want to stock up on sock or lace yarn, this is a great opportunity. I forgot to grab it. I meant to grab some of my Hawthorne yarn from Knit Picks, sock yarn that I really enjoy for sock knitting. But they have a couple of different, they have a few different fingering and lace weight yarns in the Knit Picks collection. And I have really enjoyed Hawthorne for sock knitting. That is a 100% superwash Highland yarn, and Highland yarn tends to be a sturdier yarn than a merino yarn. So I really like that for sock knitting. But I do also enjoy their Stroll sock yarn, which is 100% superwash merino. I have made socks in them. They're just not as hard wearing, so I don't use it for sock knitting anymore. But yes, tomorrow Knit Picks will, another category of yarn weight will go on sale tomorrow. So today is your last day to get up to 60% off on that. Okay, on with patterns. Speaking of socks, coincidentally, it is a coincidence. This came out this weekend. This is from Rebecca Milton Designs. This is her Midsummer Dreams sock. She has this available on her PayHip store, and I think these socks are so cool. The Midsummer Dream is a sock design with a cable motif zigzagging down the leg, accompanied by a smaller twisted cable filling the spaces in the panel with even smaller cables running alongside. So a lot of cable work here, but very approachable cable work, I'd say. And you can see them here. You can see a close-up of the cable. Let me see if I can, there we go. Some of the cable, this zigzag line, your cable, and then you've got this neat little twist. These are smaller cables. Sorry, I'm just looking to see what is a twisted stitch and what isn't. But you can see more of the detail here. I believe that's the toe of the sock. So just a really lovely pattern. And this looks like she worked the pattern in a variegated yarn self-striping. And cable patterns don't always show up well with variegated yarns or self-striping yarns, but I think this one really does work well with this yarn that she used for this. Of course, you could use a solid yarn or a semi-solid yarn, which is probably what I would opt for a project like this. And I just think that it's lovely. Just a lovely sock pattern from Rebecca Milton. So next, this last week, this actually came out last week, from Lauren, from A Bee in the Bonnet, Lauren Rad. She released her first sweater design in 2 years. Yes. So let's see, here we go. And it's a really lovely, lovely sweater pattern. It's a seamless sweater that's knit from the top down. And it has a textured sleeve pattern with a stockinette body. So, you know, it's kind of nice. Sometimes with sweater knitting, people talk about being on sleeve island. So I think it's nice that actually she had the sleeve have the interesting knitting on that. So that keeps your interest, but the body is in stockinette and it's very approachable. I think this sweater would be really nice for like kind of that early springtime or fall type weather where there's still maybe just a little bit of a chilly snap in the air, right? And you just need a little bit something extra. This would be a really good sweater for that. And I know you're thinking, God, Carrie, it's the summer. It's so bleeping hot right now. And it is so hot right now. So, so hot. But you knit this now and you have it in time for the fall. So there you go. This is actually a really good time to start a project like this, in my opinion. In my opinion. You can work on it at night where it's a little bit cooler outside. All right. So now, this sock. This is another sock that's coming up, and it's so cool. This is from Adelante. She calls this her Kaliana sock. And this is so cool. It's based on 2x2 ribbing, but it has these lace pattern inserts in them that you can see here. You can see it here on the toe. And the way the inserts are come into the sock are so cool because it's not just like a band, but there's a diagonal movement to how the lace insert meets the ribbing of the sock. Let's come over and look at it on her PayHip store. You can see the full length of the sock here. Let's see. Kaliana is a character from Critical Role. The young and excitable sorceress is of elf descent, but got a bit of draconic blood on one side. So just think that this is such a cool sock. It's just such a cool sock. That's all I gotta say about it. It's just so cool. I also love the color of the yarn that she knitted the sock pattern in. This is like such my type of color. I love that it's bright and it's green with yellow in it. I get sucked into patterns so often just because of the color that the designer knit their sample in, which is not necessarily a reason to knit a pattern because you can always pick your own color. But I think it's just a really lovely, really cool design. Hello, SnowBuddy426. Thank you so much for joining us today on Knit Tea Live. That color is so pretty. I totally agree. Oh, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, as I like to say. So, yeah, that is available through her PayHip store. And it's €350. I don't know what that's going to translate into US dollars. Just don't know. Next up is a hat from Victoria Marchant Knits. This is her Kodachrome hat. It's a very cool hat. What she says, it's an easy to knit beanie hat that makes use of 2 different yarns to create a color blocked effect. Knit in black stag yarn soulmate collection and graded to 6 sizes ranging from toddler to adult. Kodachrome will let you play with color and keep you warm through the winter. So this is another project that you could easily work on right now to have it ready for when the cooler months will come. Maybe it will help you if you're in the middle of the heat dome that is covering the United States like I am. It'll help you imagine cooler days ahead because we need that right now. We need that. Oh my God. So freaking hot. But this is a very cool hat. It's knit in 1x1 ribbing, and I'm going to go over to her page because the way I wanted to show you this photo specifically of the hat because the brim is quite long and it folds up, which I think is always kind of a cool design. It's knit in 1x1 ribbing, and it starts with the gray, it goes into the red, and you have the gray again. And if you're like me and you like a slouchy beanie, it's such a neat yarn, by the way. If you're like me and you like a slouchy beanie, all you really need to do to turn a beanie into a slouchy beanie is knit it a little longer before you start shaping the crown. So yeah, that is the Kodachrome hat. Really lovely. Yep, I totally agree, Snow Bunny. Snow Bunny says, to be honest, color affects test samples. I mean, if it's an ugly color, I zoom right past the pattern. Absolutely. I mean, color, the right color sells a project, doesn't it? It absolutely does. So color is important to a project. Absolutely. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Sorry, I'm drinking my coffee during this because I need it. And it's yummy. So let's see. So that is all the new patterns that came up this week on, sorry, I was like getting something arranged. Those are all the new patterns from the last 2 weeks that have been on Fiber Happenings. You can find a link to my website down in the description box if you want to take a look at those for yourself if you're interested in any of them. Some news that are on Fiber happening. I want to make sure I give a, where is it? Oh, okay, I didn't. All right, I gotta scroll down. Sorry, I've got to get to it. I thought I clicked on something and I didn't. Okay, here we go. Amy Snell, the Devious Knitter, she does a once a month Zoom podcast, and her next one is next week. If you want to take part in it, if you want to be a part of the Zoom, you can register to be there live on the Zoom, or if not, you can always watch it on her YouTube channel. And she usually has a guest whom she interviews live. It's really a fun time. I don't get to normally catch it live myself, but I have certainly watched the replays of it, and it's a really fun knitting podcast. So if you're interested in that, you can find links to how you can register for the live Zoom, or just subscribe to her YouTube channel at knitswhereit'sat.com. So yeah, just want to make sure I got that shout out in. Speaking of knitswhereit'sat.com, I have some news about that. If you have been following me for any amount of time, you know that for my Buy Me a Coffees, for tips that I receive through that, I always earmark a goal that I'm saving tips up, so people know what those tips are going to go to. My most recent goal has been funding my website for another year. And this weekend, I'm still saving up those tips to do it, to help fund it. So if you'd like to help me with that, you can always buy me a coffee, link down in the description box. But I bit the bullet, and I am now migrating my website to another platform. I've been on Weebly for a couple years now, and it's been fine. But I feel like for future whatevers that I may want to do, I wanted to switch over to a WordPress-powered site. So I'm in the process of doing that. It's going to be a couple of months, but I am working on a new website and rebranding my website, and all of this stuff. So that is something I am working on right now. But for right now, it's still knitswhereit'sat.com is where you're still going to find fiber happenings. But later on this year, my website is going to be moving. So I just thought I'd just throw that out there now. It seemed like a good opportunity to mention that to everybody. All right. So next, we're going to take a look at one of my favorite. Okay, just want to make sure I had that all set up. Okay, that and that. Okay, I'm going to look at one of my favorite websites, Knitty.com. Knitty.com has been around for now a very long time. And when I was a young knitter in the early 2000s, I finally had a computer with internet, and I finally had internet in my home. I didn't have to go to the library for it. One of my friends said, you need to check out Knitty.com. And at that time, 2001, 2002, there weren't a lot of online resources at that time for knitters. There were blogs, but Knitty.com was an online magazine, and I learned so much about knitting, reading the various issues of Knitty.com. And also, they always have free patterns with every issue that they release. Those patterns you can still find on their own database, and they're all free. In the early 2000s, a really popular pattern was the Clapidus. That was a Knitty.com pattern. The Clapidus was a Knitty.com pattern. And as someone young in Los Angeles without a lot of money, Knitty.com really became a huge resource for me to find patterns and to learn new information and to have like knitting be more accessible financially. Because, you know, I had to save my coins. I had to save my coins for the special things. I still got to save my coins for the special things, but it's easier to save my coins now than when you're first starting out in the world, right out of college. So Knitty.com has a very special place in my heart. Their newest release is out, and I just wanted to share a little bit, give you a little taste of it today. So let me get this. Here we go. They have a bunch of new patterns that are out. They have hats, they have shawls, they have a very cool looking sock. But the one that I'm going to just highlight one pattern that you can get this month. One of the things that's really fun with Knitty.com, if you're not familiar with them, is how they label the skill level of the pattern. They don't say beginner, intermediate, or advanced. They're labeled like mellow. This one is labeled piquant, and I think the third level is like spicy, or the most advanced level is spicy. But this is labeled piquant, and I just think this is such a cool pattern. And this is a free pattern that you can get on Knitty.com. It looks like it uses slip stitch patterns to do this color work. And it's really, really cool. You could have a lot of fun playing with colors. If you have some odds and ends of yarns in your stash, big enough that it's not just scrap yarn, big enough leftover that's not just scrap yarn, but too small to make its own complete project itself, I feel like this might be a really good pattern for a little bit of, leftover yarn busting. So I just think this is so cool. The designer of this Orinthia glove is Sarah Alderson. You can find this on Knitty.com, and their newest issue is out. But something else I wanted to highlight about Knitty.com this month is this tweet went out by Amy Singer, who is the editor of Knitty.com, and she said, "Every issue we lose some supporters. People's budgets change. This issue, we lost a little more than usual. We're down about 100 patrons. If you're able to support us, you can find all the options here at knitty.support. Thank you," in parentheses, hugs. And here's the thing, Knitty.com, it is so pretty, isn't it? Snow Bunny, it's so pretty. Here's the thing about Knitty.com. It's always been free. Knitty.com is free. All their articles are free. Their patterns that they release through Knitty.com are free. Up until a couple of years ago, Knitty was totally basically supported through advertising. But was it last year or the year before? Within the last couple of years, they did launch a Patreon account and ways that people can help donate or become a patron of Knitty.com. So if you are interested and able in helping to support an amazing resource for the knitting community, I really encourage you to go to their Knitty.support. There's lots of ways that you can help support Knitty.com. You can become a Patreon. You can join their Patreon, and they have like so many levels. I looked at them. They have so many different levels that you can become a Patreon, and each one has some cool rewards. And you can do that. If you're like, nope, I don't need any rewards, you can just join them at knitty.me, or you can just give them a donation through PayPal. It's something else you can do. And they have all these links at knitty.me. And after the live stream is over, in the description box, I will go down and I will put in all their information, all the links for Knitty.com and their support page. But yeah, I just really want to encourage anyone who would like to, who didn't know this was a possibility, that this might be needed, just, help support. I know that I am planning on I'm deciding if I want to just give a donation or if I want to join their Patreon. I haven't decided which one I want to do. I'm still debating, but I know that I am planning to throw a little bit of support to them because it's such a great resource for the knitting community online. It's been around for years. If you've been at all paying attention to things with Ravelry and off Ravelry, it's a great resource for people who can't or choose not to use Ravelry at all. So yes, please support Knitty.com. Okay, that is my plug on that. I think today is going to be a somewhat shorter live stream. I started late, but I'm probably going to be wrapping up around the same time. Just, got through things quickly today. Not as much chat as there normally is. And me going, squirrel, squirrel. But if you are joining me now, or if you are watching on the replay, please let me know what your thoughts on about respecting the craft, what you think of the patterns that we looked at today. I do read comments. I do respond to comments. I would love to hear your thoughts about all of this. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is coming up for this week? So first of all, if you have watched any of my other live streams, you know for a while I have been working on a video where I looked at all the knitwear from the movie Misery, which is a movie that I love. And I was very late in getting it out. It took me a while to edit it. But that video is live now. I uploaded it on Monday. Normally I upload on Fridays, but I didn't want to wait another week to get it up. So I uploaded it on Monday. So if you want to check that out, please do. It's a different type of video than I normally do, but I think it's fun. Snowbuddy says, great movie. It is a great movie. It is. My video is kind of a reaction video to it. Kind of. Mostly though, I'm looking at the knitwear. I mean, I talk about more than just the knitwear. I make some comments about acting and the directing and stuff. But it was I had a really good time shooting the video. And anyway, just want to let everyone know that that's up and to check it out because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed shooting the video. And if you would like me to do more videos like that, talking about knitwear in anything, a movie, a TV show, let me know. I would love to take a look at that because I am I do work in media. I like watching things, and I am definitely somebody when I'm watching stuff goes, ooh, what's that sweater? Ooh, what's that thing? When I see somebody knitting in a show, and I know I'm not the only one. When I see somebody knitting in a show, I'm instantly like, how do they knit? Are they knitting continental? Are they knitting English? Do they look like they know how they're knitting? Are they really knitting? Are they really knitting? I do that. I absolutely do that. I do. Anyway, so that video is up next Friday. A week from now, I will have my video up on the Finchley graft. I talked about that earlier. The Finchley graft is what I use to finish my sock. Looks seamless, right? Looks like just a grafted together toe end. Let's see if I can get that closer. Right? Well, it's not. It's not using the graft formerly known as I've already forgotten. Oh crap. All I can think is knitting. What's the graft? The graft formerly known as something I can't even remember because I am blanking on it right now. Kitchener. The graft formerly known as Kitchener stitch. It's not. I used the Finchley graft, and I'm going to have a video on that next Friday. This is a little bit of a different tutorial because it's actually me doing the technique for the very first time. And let me tell you, like, this graft is like, let me just say, for at least my socks, this is how I'm going to finish my socks from now on. So yes, that video is next Friday. Let's see, Knit Tea Live probably won't happen next Sunday. It'll probably happen the Sunday after, just because, that's kind of the rhythm I've been on since I started the paying gig, trying to get back to that where it's like every other week I do a uploaded video, and then the weeks in between the uploaded videos I do Knit Tea Live. So at least I'm getting something up every week. Speaking of the paying gig, by the way, my paying gig is now airing on TLC if you're interested. It's called You, Me, and My Ex. It premiered last week. It's on tonight at 10 p.m. It's kind of a crazy show. It's about people who are too close to their exes. But yeah. Snow Bunny. I'm still trying to get the nerve to try socks. I hear you. I hear you on that. And I'm going to just tell you, just from my heart to your heart, if you can knit increases and decreases, you have basic skills, you can knit a sock. They are more intimidating to knit. The anticipation of trying to do a sock is way more intimidating than actually doing a sock, in my opinion. Of course, somewhat it depends on what kind of heel construction you're utilizing, but socks, if you can do increases and decreases, you can knit in the round, you can knit flat, you can knit a basic vanilla sock. Now, whether you enjoy knitting them or not is another matter. I avoided knitting socks for a long time only because I don't really like wearing socks. I was like, well, why would I want to knit one? Then I took a class on knitting a sock, and I fell in love with sock knitting. I love sock knitting now. And the reason I love sock knitting is because it has enough variety and techniques of what you're going to do while you're knitting the sock that it keeps it really interesting. And once you've learned how to knit one sock, it becomes a really nice blank slate to do different stitch patterns. Like, I make up a lot of my own sock patterns. Like, this is just something I saw this stitch pattern in one of my stitch dictionary books, and I really liked it. I'm like, I'm going to put this into a sock. And I just started knitting it. So it's if you like doing that sort of thing, if you like improvising your own patterns, socks is a really nice kind of blank slate to do it on. Anyway, so that is my plug for learning how to knit socks. Let's see. So talked about videos coming up, Knit Tea Live. I think that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, so sorry I was late in getting started today. Just life happening. I will endeavor to be on time from now on. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Again, if you have not already, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your knitting friends and let them know that this is a space worth checking out. And if you have not already, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hitting subscribe, liking videos, commenting on videos is a great way to support my channel. Let YouTube know that this is a space worth checking out, and it's totally free. It's a totally free way to support the community here at Carry a Craft Geek. If you would like to leave me a tip, you can always buy me a coffee, or you can utilize one of my affiliate links. All my affiliate links are down in the description box. So yeah, I think that is everything. Everything. It's definitely everything. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you have a lovely week ahead, that we all keep cool during these hot days of summer. And as always, happy health and happy crafting. Bye.